wooden boat moves through the warm water. An old man is at the stern. There are 2 nets and 2 woven baskets in the boat. 5 kilometers from the boat, a 300-meter-long tanker passes by. On board are 2 million barrels of oil. They share the same water. This is the Strait of Hormuz. Off the northern shore lies Qeshm Island, the largest island in the Persian Gulf. It is about 120 kilometers long and up to 35 kilometers wide. About 120,000 people live on the island. Most of them make their living from the sea. The tanker shipping lane runs along the western edge of Qeshm. Every day, ships from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Iran, Iraq, and Bahrain pass by the island. On board, they carry oil and liquefied gas bound for Asia. In 2024, about 20 million barrels of oil per day pass through the strait near Qeshm. That's about 20% of the world's consumption. All along the southern and eastern shores of the island, there are fishing villages, stone houses, wind towers on the rooftops, boats on the sand, and mangrove thickets in the bays. No one is fighting between the 2 sides of the island. They exist in parallel. The tanker follows its channel, the fisherman follows his tide. The main sources of income on Qeshm are fish, salt, mangroves, trade, and tourism. There is no oil under the island. The neighboring Emirates built skyscrapers, artificial islands, and shopping malls with oil money. Qeshm built stone houses, wind towers, Aban bars for rainwater, and underground salt caves. Qeshm operates by a different logic, by the tides, by the fishing season, by the wind and the badgers, by the salt that grows from within the earth. This island is part of Iran's Hormuzgan province. It has a free economic zone. Here, there is an airport, a port, fish markets, a mangrove biosphere reserve, the only UNESCO geopark in Iran, Portuguese ruins, and about 100 functioning wind towers in a single village. 2 million barrels of oil on the horizon, 20 kilograms of fish in a fisherman's basket, 5 kilometers of water between them. This is the story of an island that looks like a dot on the map of global conflict and functions like a place outside of time. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and the Indian Ocean. The strait is about 160 kilometers long. At its narrowest point between Iran and Oman, there are 33 kilometers of water. The deepwater shipping lane for tankers consists of 2 lanes, each 3 kilometers wide. Ships travel eastbound in one lane and westbound in the other. Every 5th drop of oil burned on the planet passes through this narrow strip. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, about 84% of the crude oil from the strait goes to Asia, and about 83% of the liquefied natural gas goes there as well. China, India, Japan, South Korea. There are almost no alternative routes. Saudi Arabia can redirect some oil through a pipeline to the Red Sea, and the Emirates can use a pipeline to the Indian Ocean. The rest of the Gulf's oil depends on these 33 kilometers. The history of the strait has been rewritten several times. From 1984 to 1988, Iran and Iraq fought the tanker war. More than 500 ships were hit. Oil prices spiked after every attack. In 1988, the United States shot down an Iranian passenger Airbus over the strait, killing 290 people. Among the victims were passengers of all ages. In the summer of 2019, 6 tankers were attacked in the strait. The price of oil jumped in a single day. The United States blamed Iran. Iran denied the accusations. In 2024, escalation in the Middle East once again brought the strait to the brink of a blockade. Iran announced that it could close the passage within a matter of hours. The naval forces of the United States, the United Kingdom, and France deployed several battle groups in the Gulf. Closing the strait would impact fuel prices, transportation, electricity, and goods far beyond the Middle East. Global supply chains would break down within a few weeks. In these 33 kilometers, it's decided how much a tank of gas will cost in Berlin, how much rice will cost in Tokyo, and how much it will cost to heat homes in Seoul during winter. Qeshm lies right next to these waters. The northwestern edge of the island is 15 kilometers from the main shipping lane. From the village aloft, you can see the tankers with the naked eye. From above, Qeshm looks like a long bone knife lying across the strait. This shape was created by geology. The island is part of the Zagros Fold, which rose from the sea millions of years ago. The same tectonic forces that lifted Qeshm also made the strait narrow. The area of the island is about 1,500 square kilometers, about the size of Bahrain. On the map of the Gulf, Qeshm lies as an elongated wedge between the Iranian coast and the open strait. There are salt domes beneath the island. These are layers of salt that are lighter than the surrounding rocks. Over millions of years, they're squeezed upward like toothpaste from a tube. The salt continues to grow from within the earth even now. The coastline features rocky cliffs, shallows, mangrove bays, and sand spits. Inside the island, there are dry hills, plateaus, and canyons. There's almost no flat, fertile land. Agriculture is limited to date palms and salt-tolerant crops. There's little rainfall. The rainy season is short, from December to February. The annual average is about 150 millimeters. That's 10 times less than in Moscow. The climate weighs on people. In summer, it's 45 degrees Celsius with high humidity. The air's heavy and it's hard to work in it. In winter, the temperature drops to 15 degrees above zero. It never snows here. Qeshm is the only UNESCO geopark in Iran. The island received international status for its geology. Salt domes, canyons, rock formations, caves, sandstones, and mangrove flats. All of this is the result of tens of millions of years of work. The island's surface is not suitable for urban life, so large settlements were never built here. The main city, Qeshm City, is a modern construction within a free economic zone. The old villages are made of stone, low, and pressed up against the shore. The land inside the island doesn't provide sustenance. There's little land, no water, little rain, and the heat is intense, so life on Qeshm has always gravitated toward one thing: the sea. Without the sea, this island wouldn't exist. In the morning, about 200 boats line up at the fishing pier in Qeshm City. By 6 o'clock, the fleet heads out to sea, and by 10, they return with their catch. The main catch is mullet, a silvery fish up to half a meter long. 1 kilogram at the local market costs about $2 to $3. Besides mullet, there are mackerel, tuna, barracuda, mangrove snapper, and grouper. Shrimp season runs from October to December. In winter, the boats head to the Gulf of Oman for tuna. The tuna fishing season lasts 3 months. A single large tuna weighing up to 200 kilograms is exported to Japan. The daily catch of a single boat ranges from 50 to 200 kilograms. It depends on the season, the weather, the tide, and luck. At the dock, there's ice, baskets made of palm fiber, wooden crates, a wet deck underfoot, and the smell of salt, fish, and diesel exhaust. The men unload the catch. The women wade off to the side with empty buckets. In an hour, the fish will be distributed to markets in Laft and the city of Qeshm and in mainland Bandar Abbas. Most of the catch is sold fresh. The rest is dried, salted, or smoked. Dried mullet is hung on wooden frames in the sun. The shelf life is about a year. This is an ancient way to preserve fish for long journeys on the lenges and for the winter. Small fish are made into miha paste, a thick, salty concentrate with spices. It has a strong smell and can be stored for years. It's used as a seasoning for rice and bread. The island's fish markets operate 6 days a week. Friday's a day off. On Fridays, families eat fish prepared the day before. The main dish of Qeshm is kalyevsta, rice with stewed fish and local herbs. The green color comes from the abundance of greens. It's served with date chutney. At the market, you can hear Arabic, Farsi, and Balochi being spoken. Prices are shouted in 2 languages at once. A female customer wearing a burqa mask is bargaining with an old man in a white shirt. Fishing supports about half of the island's population. The rest work in trade, ship repair, the free zone, or tourism. The sea is the main employer on Qeshm. The sea came here before people and will remain after them. The same fish being unloaded at the pier now were swimming here when Portuguese caravels first approached the Gulf. On the sand near the village of Gurani lies the teak keel of a future lange. It's about 25 meters long. The master's 60 years old. He has only 3 apprentices on the whole island. A lange is a traditional Iranian wooden boat of the Persian Gulf. A teak hull, a slanted lateen sail on a high stern. It can carry from 50 to 500 tons. The teak wood is brought from India. Teak doesn't rot in salt water and can last about 50 years. Ordinary wood in the Gulf rots away in 5 years. The master has no blueprints. He works from memory. That memory was passed down from his father, from his grandfather, and to his grandfather from his great-grandfather. First, he lays the keel on the slipway right on the sand. Then he puts up the frames, the curved ribs of the hull. He bends them with steam in a special wooden oven. He fastens the hull planks to the frames with wooden pegs. Each peg is about 20 centimeters long and as thick as a big thumb. Nails are not used. Seawater will eat through iron in 10 years. The seams between the planks are caulked with coconut fiber and tarred ropes. On top, he coats it with fish oil mixed with lime. This mixture becomes as hard as plastic after 2 days. Building a single lange takes anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. It depends on the size, the client, and the weather. Iranian seafaring skills in building and sailing lenges have been included by UNESCO in the list of intangible heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. Urgent means it's on the verge of disappearing. Lenches carried Iranian goods to East Africa, India, and Arabia as far back as the Middle Ages: dates, spices, textiles, ceramics. On the return trip, they brought back ivory, slaves, gold, and Chinese porcelain. In the 20th century, trade switched to steel cargo ships. Lenges continued to be utilized for commercial fishing activities, transporting the annual date harvest, and engaging in regional coastal trade. Young people on Qeshm prefer to work on cargo ships in Bandar Abbas. The pay is better and the work is more stable. No one is learning how to build lenges. In just 1 generation, this memory could disappear from the island. Wooden dowels, the shape of the frames, the smell of resin and teak will only be found in museums. The old master in Garan keeps working. He knows that after him there will be no one left to teach. On the western shore of Qeshm stands the village of Laft. The population's about 2,000 people. About 100 square towers rise above the village rooftops. Each one is between 5 and 12 meters tall. The cross-section is square or rectangular. At the top, there are openings on all four sides. These are badgers, wind towers, air conditioners that have been working without electricity for 400 years. When it's 45 degrees outside, inside a house under a bad gear, it's 28 degrees. No technology evolved. Just stone, shape, and the physics air. The operating principle is simple. The tower catches the wind from above and the air moves down a vertical shaft. At the bottom of the shaft, there's a water reservoir. As the air passes over the water, it cools down through evaporation. The cool air then flows into the living rooms. The hot air from the rooms rises up the opposite side of the shaft and escapes back into the sky. The houses and loft are built from coral limestone blocks. The mortar is made from lime mixed with ash from burned seashells. The walls are about 60 centimeters thick. Inside, there are narrow windows, thick doors, and low ceilings. Narrow passages between the houses protect the streets from direct sunlight. At noon, the shade covers the entire village. Under Laugh, there are about 100 live wells carved into the coral rock. They are called the 12 Imams. The number is associated with the Shiite tradition of the 12 Imams. The wells collect underground water that seeps through the coral during seasonal rains. The water's brackish. For drinking, it is filtered through cloth and boiled. Electricity only came to Laugh in the 1960s. Before that, only architecture did the work. After electricity was installed, some residents put air conditioners in their homes. Some still use the badgers. The older generation says it's easier to breathe under a badger. The air conditioner dries out the air. The bad gear preserves humidity and keeps the air moving. Modern green buildings around the world copy the principle of the bad gear. In Dubai, Muscat, and Doha, new skyscrapers are built with concrete shafts that imitate the function of the old Iranian tower. The original has been working a lot for 4 centuries already. At sunset, the silhouette of the village appears, hundreds of square towers rising above the low rooftops. Seagulls perch on the edges of the badgers. Light filters through the slits in the shafts, and from the outside, looks like the towers are glowing from within. The air in Loft moves just as it did 400 years ago. At the market in the village of Salah, an elderly woman wears a mask made of dense red and gold fabric on her head. Only her eyes are visible. This is a borj, the traditional face mask of southern Iran. Its shape is horizontal like butterfly wings. It covers the nose, upper lip, and part of the cheeks, leaving the chin exposed. The borj grew out of a local southern Iranian tradition. The shape of the mask varies by tribe. It is rectangular for the Bandi, arrow-shaped for the Baluch, with 2 wings pointing upward for the Iranian Arabs of Hormozgan, and with a narrow vertical stripe for those of East African descent. The material is dense cotton fabric, indigo, red, black, or golden silk. The masks are hand-embroidered. It takes several days of work to make a single mask. According to one version, the mask appeared during the era of Portuguese control of the Gulf in the 16th century to hide faces from slave traders. According to another, it is older and is connected to protection from the sun and dust on the salt flats. There are arguments supporting both versions. Historians have not reached a consensus. Today, the mask is worn mainly by older women. Young women rarely wear it. At weddings and when visiting guests, young women put on the mask out of respect for tradition. At markets by the sea or in the fields, the mask serves a practical purpose, protecting from the sun, wind, sand, and flies. The Bandar Abbas Museum houses a collection of masks from different Hormozgan tribes with several dozen types. Each mask is like a passport. By its shape and color, you can tell where a woman is from, whether she is married or not, her age, and her background. The mask has passed through several eras: the Portuguese presence, the Persian return in the 16th century, British naval dominance, the Shah's era, and the Islamic Revolution. After the 1979 revolution, the government introduced the hijab for all women in Iran. The burqa mask does not contradict the hijab. Some conservative southern families continue to wear it along with the mandatory headscarf. At the Saleh market, a masked woman is bargaining with an old man over a kilogram of mullet. The mask moves as she speaks. Her eyes look straight ahead. The fabric on her face is older than any oil company on the planet. Under the dry hills of Qeshm, there are corridors made of pure salt. The walls are white, the ceiling is transparent, and underfoot is salty sand. This is the Namakdan Cave. According to UNESCO, the system is about 7 kilometers long, making it one of the longest salt caves in the world. The cave is located in the southwest of the island, inside the salt dome of the same name. The entrance to the cave is a black hole in the side of a white hill. From the entrance, the corridor goes deeper inside. The ceiling height ranges from 2 to 15 meters, and the width of the passage varies from half a meter to 20 meters. The walls are pure salt. The color changes from transparent and white to pink, gray, and greenish. The color comes from impurities, iron oxide, clay, and organic matter. Salt stalactites hang from the ceiling and stalagmites grow on the floor. They form thanks to drip and brine. A drop of brine falls from the ceiling every few minutes. In 1,000 years, that's about 10 centimeters of growth. Deep inside the cave, there's an underground brine stream. Its salt concentration is about 30%. That's 10 times saltier than seawater. On the banks of the stream, there's a white crust of crystals. The temperature inside the cave stays around 20 degrees Celsius all year round. When it's 45 degrees outside, it's cool inside. When it's 15 outside, it's warmer inside. The air's dry and there's hardly any dust. The salt absorbs moisture from the air. Scientists only began systematically studying Namakdan in the 1970s. Before that, the cave was a place for local shepherds. They would bring their goats inside during the hottest days of summer. Modern geologists keep discovering new branches. Every season, the map of the cave grows. Its full length is still unknown. The salt dome beneath Qeshm continues to grow from within the earth. Salt is lighter than the surrounding rocks. Over millions of years, it has risen hundreds of meters. The dome pushes up from below against the island's rock and slowly changes the landscape. In thousands of years, the cave may collapse. In millions, the salt will break through to the surface and form a new dome. In the beam of the flashlight, a large crystal the size of a fist refracts the light into dozens of facets. The wall behind it glows from within. Outside, tankers are visible on the horizon. Inside, there's a world that grows millions of times slower than a tanker. In the south of Qeshm stands a forest of stone columns. They range in height from 3 to 15 meters. Some of them are topped with flat slabs of sandstone, like tabletops. This is the Valley of Stars, a labyrinth of stone formations near the village of Barike. It covers an area of about 5 square kilometers. The rocks are soft sandstone, about 2 million years old. The shapes have been carved by wind, rare rains, and salt weathering. Local legend says that a star once fell at this very spot. The impact split the rock. The spirits of the star remained in the canyons. At night, the residents of Barika try not to enter the valley. It is believed that the wind in the passages takes on the form of voices. The young hear whispers, while the elders hear cries. Geologists have a different explanation for the sounds. The narrow passages between the columns work like organ pipes. The wind blowing through them at a certain speed vibrates. The resulting sound is low and drawn out, resembling a moan. In places where the walls bend sharply, the sound can intensify. Locally, it can reach 60 decibels. That's about as loud as a conversation between two people. The trails through the valley are officially open only during daylight hours. Guides lead tourists from sunrise until 5 in the evening. After sunset, the entrance is closed off with a chain. The color of the rock changes throughout the day. In the morning, it's grayish-pink. At noon, almost white under the direct sun. At sunset, red-orange, and just before closing, it's purple. In the narrow passages between two walls, just 2 hand-widths apart, the sound of footsteps echoes. The echo comes back after a few seconds. It feels like someone else is walking behind you. Geologically, the Valley of Stars is the surface layer of the Zagros geological fold. The same tectonic process that raised the island from the sea also lifted these sandstones. The wind from the bay has been blowing on them for 2 million years. Every year, the rain washes away millimeters of rock. In 100,000 years, one of the columns will fall and a sandy shoal will remain in its place. Local legend and geology stand at the same point. The stone is silent for both. In the Valley of Stars, time is measured not in hours, but in layers of rock. On dry Qeshm, there are no rivers, and it only rains a few times a year. The annual rainfall is about 150 millimeters, while the population's 120,000. How did the island provide them with water for centuries? The answer is 3 engineering systems that appeared long before modern pipelines. The first is the Chakotanium, a narrow gorge in the northeastern part of Qeshm. The depth is about 10 meters, and in the narrowest places, the width is just over a meter. After seasonal downpours, water flows along the canyon floor. For centuries, residents carved wells directly into the stone walls of the gorge. A well is a round depression about a meter in diameter and up to 5 meters deep. The well collects water that flows along the bottom. During the dry season, the water in the well stayed cool, filtered through limestone. Villagers from around Chaku would come here with clay jugs. The second system is the Abun Bar, an underground reservoir for rainwater. About 100 ab bars have been built across the island. Some of them are still in use today. An ambar is a round or rectangular cistern dug into the ground up to 10 meters deep. It has a domed roof on top and 4 windcatcher towers on the sides. Rainwater is collected from the surrounding slopes and flows into the reservoir. The windcatcher towers cool the water inside and remove any stagnant smell. The water is stored all year round without any treatment. The third system is the laft wells, the so-called 12 imams. There are about 100 wells carved into the coral rock beneath the village. They collect groundwater that seeps through the coral with the rain. Modern desalination plants only appeared on Qeshm in the 1970s. Before that, only chaka, bon bars, and wells were in use. Today, most villages get their water from modern pipelines. The old systems to serve as a backup. Some of the Abun bars became part of the geopark as living monuments. In the village of Laft, the elderly say, water from the old well tastes better than from the tap. The young people laugh. During the season when the pipeline breaks, the line at the well gets long. Without these 3 systems, there wouldn't be a single living village on Qeshm. Between Qeshm and mainland Iran, there's a narrow strait about 2 kilometers wide. A forest grows along this strip of water. The Hara mangroves are a UNESCO biosphere reserve. It covers an area of about 20,000 hectares. The main tree is the Avicennia marina, or gray mangrove. It grows up to 8 meters tall with a round, dense crown, gray bark that's thick and cracked. The tree lives in salt water with its roots going straight into the sea mud. For most plants, seawater is poison, but the Avicennia has learned how to deal with it. Salt is filtered out at the root level. Still, some of the salt gets inside. The tree expels it through special glands on its leaves. On the underside of the leaf, you can see white salt crystals. After it rains, they get washed away. The tide raises the water by 1.5 to 2 meters. Boats travel through the channels when the waters lie. 4 hours later, the tide goes out, the water recedes, boats settle onto the mud, and the trees stand above the empty bottom. This happens twice a day, every day. The tides never miss their schedule. Crabs, shrimp, mollusks, mangrove snappers, and barracudas live in the mangrove channels. The root system holds the silt in place so the waves don't erode the shore. The forest acts as a natural breakwater. In winter, dozens of species of migratory birds spend the season here. White herons, flamingos, black storks, ibises, gray herons, and silver gulls. From December to March, you can spot up to 40 species at the same time in the mangrove Zacara. Local fishermen enter the channels in narrow, flat-bottomed boats, rowing while standing, pushing off the silt with a long pole, and pulling up nets filled with shrimp. In the village of Shakdad on the mangrove shore, there are several dozen families of fishermen. They work according to the tides. They start their day by the sea's clock. They don't need a watch on their wrist. After a strong storm, a branch of the Avicennia, broken off by a wave, can take root right on the water. In a year, there'll be a new tree. The Hara forest has existed here for several thousand years, before the Portuguese, before the Persians, before oil. It lives by salt and tide. Nations pass it by. On the western shore of Qeshm stand the ruins of a stone fortress. The walls are 1.5 meters thick. There are cannon nests in the walls. This is a Portuguese fort, one of the earliest European traces on the shores of Hormuz. The Portuguese came to the Gulf at the beginning of the 16th century under the command of Afonso de Albuquerque. They needed control over the sea route from Europe to India. The Gulf was a key point. In 1507, Albuquerque captured the neighboring island of Hormuz, the very one after which the strait would later be named. Hormuz became the main Portuguese stronghold in the region. Spices, silk, horses, and slaves were traded through it. On Qeshm, the Portuguese built a fortress to control passage through the strait. The walls were made from local limestone with mortar of sea sand and lime. Inside the fortress, there was a platform for cannons, a gunpowder storage, a water cistern, and barracks for the garrison. The garrison numbered about 100 soldiers. Half were Portuguese, and the other half were mercenaries from local tribes. The walls still have niches for heavy artillery. The cannon barrels were aimed toward the strait. Any ship passing by Qeshm without Portuguese permission had to pay a duty or take a cannonball to its side. In 1622, the Persian Shah Abbas I joined forces with the English fleet of the East India Company. The joint attack drove the Portuguese out of Hormuz and Qeshm. The English received a share of the customs duties from the Gulf as a reward for their help. The Shah regained control over the coastline. The Portuguese fort on Qeshm was partially destroyed. Only the stone perimeter and 2 towers remain. The cannons were taken away long ago. The garrison left for Lisbon 400 years ago. The walls stand under the scorching sun. Today, goats wander inside the fort. Young men play soccer in the courtyard, and swifts nest in the cracks of the walls.
After the Portuguese, the strait changed hands several times. Persians, English, Ottomans, then Persians again. After the Islamic Revolution, it became Iran's. The fort's walls remain neutral. They have stood under different flags. Stone on the island outlives any empire. "15 minutes drive from the Laft Fish Market are concrete warehouses, containers, a shopping mall, and an airport." This is Qeshm City, the island's main city. The population's about 50,000 people, half of all Qeshm residents. The city was built at the end of the 1980s, after the island became a free economic zone. The Qeshm Free Economic Zone was established in 1989. The zone covers almost the entire island. Benefits include zero import duties, a simplified visa regime for foreigners, tax exemption for up to 20 years, and free currency exchange. Foreign citizens can own businesses without local partners. About 10,000 companies operate on the island: trade, ship repair, petrochemicals, light manufacturing of clothing and footwear, electronics, and household appliances. A large flow of Chinese goods enters the Iranian market through Qeshm. Ships are unloaded at the port of Qeshm, goods go through customs clearance with minimal duties, then travel by ferry to Bandar Abbas and by truck all over Iran. The free zone operates despite international sanctions against Iran, using intermediaries in the Emirates, Oman, and Turkey. Some payments bypass the dollar system through barter, cryptocurrency, or gold. In the port of Qeshm, there are ships flying the flags of different countries. Some are Iranian, some Panamanian, and some under the flag of the Marshall Islands. It's not easy to determine the real owner of every other ship. Qeshm Airport receives direct flights from Dubai, Sharjah, and Doha. The flight from Dubai to Qeshm takes about an hour and a half. Through Dubai, Turks, Chinese, Indians, and Pakistanis come to Qeshm on business. In the city shopping mall, electronics are sold at a 30 to 40% discount compared to Iranian prices. Hundreds of Iranians fly here every month specifically to shop. Jeeps with tinted windows drive through the streets of Qeshm City. The windows of jewelry stores shine with gold. New condominium towers are being built by the waterfront. 15 minutes from here, an old man in Laft still lowers a jug into a coral well. Two Qeshms on the same land. They don't speak to each other. At the Qeshm Fish Market, you can hear Farsi, Arabic, Balochi, and sometimes Swahili. This is how the native communities of one island sound. Qeshm is a layered pie of communities formed over 1,000 years of trade in the Gulf. Most of the population are Iranian Arabs who speak a Gulf Arabic dialect and are religiously Sunni, unlike the Shiite majority of Iran. The second largest group are the Baloch, originally from modern-day Pakistan and Afghanistan. They've been on Qeshm for several centuries already. Their language is Balochi, which belongs to the Iranian group. Their religion is Sunni Islam. The third group is the Bendari. They are local residents of Hormozgan and speak a distinct Bendari dialect, a mix of Persian, Arabic, and several borrowings from Swahili and Hindi. The fourth group consists of descendants of people from East Africa. The slave trade operated in the Gulf for centuries. Ships belonging to Arab and Portuguese traders brought slaves from Zanzibar, Mombasa, and Malindi. After the slave trade was banned in the 19th century, the descendants of the slaves remained in the ports of the Gulf. On Qeshm, families of African descent still live to this day. Swahili words have been preserved in the local dialects, especially in the names of rhythms, boat parts, and cuisine. The fifth group is Iranian Persians. They moved to the island after the establishment of the Free Economic Zone. They work in trade, banking, and government service. They speak standard Farsi. Qeshm's music is Bindari, a mix of Iranian, Arab, and African rhythms. The main instrument is the ney and bon, an Iranian bagpipe made from goat skin. Its sound is sharp and drawn out. The second instrument is the double-sided drum, timpo. The third is the clay vessel, jis. They strike it with their fingers like bongos. The main dance of the South is the dance with a short stick. Two men stand in a circle of spectators, each holding a wooden stick about a meter long. They move around the circle, imitating a combat duel without actually striking each other. The audience claps their hands and shouts in rhythm. The dance is older than Islam. It may have come from Arabia before the 7th century. At a wedding in the village of Saleh, a musician plays the anban. The drum hums. Spectators stand on rooftops and watch. The elders clap in rhythm. This rhythm came here from Africa. This bagpipe came from Iran. This dance came from Arabia. And now all of it sounds like a single note. Qeshm is called the island squeezed into the Strait of Hormuz. On the map, it sits at the throat of the world's oil. On land, it wakes up before the tankers. The boat heads out before the heat sets in. The market opens crates of fish. The wind passes through the towers. The tide returns to the mangroves. The world looks at Hormuz as a threat. The people of Qeshm see a day that needs to be lived. Tankers disappear beyond the horizon. The price of oil changes. Flags over the strait have changed for centuries. The island remains. Qeshm stands between the sea and the wider world.